whole thing and then it's not recording.
Hi, this is Gigi Haycock. I am one of the programmers at the SF Doc Fest, and I'm here to talk about the film The First Class. And joining me today is the founder of Crosstown High School program for this, and Ginger Spickler, and she's also the director of growth. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm curious. What does the director of growth now? Oh, look, Derry is coming on the call. One sec.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Hey, Daria.
Hi.
How are you? I just wanted to pop in and just make sure you guys are all set.
We are. We're doing it.
Perfect. Do you need me or can I?
You can whatever you'd like.
Okay.
But yeah, I just have some. It's just going to be a conversation. We're talking right now, and recording. So yeah.
Okay.
Derry, you have something else to do.
Nice to see you, though.
It would be really great, Daria, though, if you could just say what your involvement in this process and this film has been, and in the high school.
So I've been working so I work at XQ. I'm the director of experiential productions. I have been taking the film on the road. So we have gone to education conferences. We have gone to a few film festivals. So any way that we show up in front of community, I've been working on that.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and appreciate you popping in.
I appreciate it too. Thank you. Let me know if there's anything you guys need. I'm here.
Okay.
Meeting. All right, perfect. Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was nice. Because we've been emailing back and forth, so that's really
Yeah.
So yeah, I was wondering about the director of growth. Like what is the definition for that? Because
So the full title is actually Director of Growth and Sustainability. And the sustainability part is probably pretty self-evident. Like, we've got to keep being able to do the work that we are doing. So part of that is looking for grant opportunities to enhance our resources, but also thinking about how we share the work that we are doing, because we do see that as a part of the sustainability, not only of our own school, but of a lot of the ideas that we feel like we are testing out at Crosstown, and that we would like to see, get legs somewhere else as well. So I get the opportunity to do things like this, which is super fun. But also we have visitors who come to Crosstown, and we love having visiting groups, both to get to share what we're doing, but also to learn from people who are doing similar work other places in the country. So yeah, I have a really fun job that I get to just do a lot of sharing of our work.
that's wonderful, because it's such a extraordinary curriculum in a way. I mean, that seems actually to like old school, because this is something is a new vision of how to put education together, especially with it project based, and where all of the subject, teachers and everything come together for just, to really see how everything relates to one another. That's really apparent, especially in the Mars project, and then, yeah. So is that still a thing? I mean, well, not a thing, but how has Crosstown changed since this film has?
Oh gosh, so much. That was our very first year, obviously.
Right.
It was called The First Class. And in a lot of ways, we have changed a ton and grown a ton. I mean, literally from, that year we had only ninth graders. And now we have just had our third graduating class last Saturday. And so, we have grown in number, but I would also say that we have just grown in our approach to the work. But what's interesting is, what hasn't changed. And I think that is our commitment to the four pillars that we started out working on, like as we were thinking about what it meant to rethink high school. We went through the whole XQ design process back in 2015, 2016, and the principles that emerged from that process, and it was a very community driven process of thinking about and listening to our community to say, like, what what do students need? What do students need to really thrive in the 21st century? We came to these 4 pillars of our school model, which is that we are diverse by design, we are project-based, we are competency-based, and we are relationship-driven. And those are still the exact 4 pillars that drive our work today and that we are still trying to get better at. And, I would say we've definitely grown more in some areas than others. And I think some years have more of an emphasis on one or the other, but we've improved in all areas, but still, feel like we have room to grow in all of them as well.
Yeah, you definitely, I mean, you see the student stories, but you also see the teacher and the educators behind the scenes talking about it, because that's their first year too. And
Right.
someone says, well, we're all starting, it's our first year, said it to a student. So,
Yeah.
that's what it didn't just show, it just showed how everybody was having to figure it out, and
With
then
cameras rolling.
right. Yeah. Yeah. No pressure there, right?
No, not at all. I look back sometimes and I'm like, why did we agree to that? But it has been nothing but good. So
yeah, it's wonderful. And I had so many, I mean, I don't even know to talk about, like, the evolving personalities of everyone that was in this film. You see Paul is so incredibly timid in the beginning, and then by the time he's walking across the stage at graduation, and well, actually, when he did his spoken word, I mean, that was really great. So I got a feeling to get to know these kids.
yeah. Well, and I think, you got to see a few kids' stories in this film, Paul and Rachel and others. And I think and I actually getting kind of chills thinking about it right now is that, we're so lucky that we get to see so many kids' stories. And we actually just wrapping up presentations of learning at Crosstown, which is how we end our school year. Which if any educators out there are watching and are looking for maybe one takeaway from this, I would say think about how you allow students to reflect on their learning and reflect on their own growth, because it is really just magical to watch kids, and especially now that we have the benefit of like getting to see, ninth graders, and then as kids go up through their sophomore and junior and senior year, to watch the evolution of those the formal presentations of learning at the end of the year, but just also how they're showing up in school every day, because and in our community, because of the opportunity they have to do real work. We talk about, part of the mission of Crosstown is to do meaningful work. And that is true for both the students and the adults in the building, is that we want to ensure that nobody feels like they're just, checking boxes to get a degree, or, just punching a clock to earn a paycheck, but that we're all showing up every day to do something that is meaningful to us and hopefully to the world outside of the walls of our school. And I think that that's been one of the magical things about Crosstown, is that happens.
Yeah, Rachel said she didn't want to be boring at being boring at a dinner party, right?
Yes. So, Rachel could never be boring at a dinner party for sure, with or without Crosstown. But yeah, we want to create interesting people. We hope they have an opportunity to have experiences that they make good dinner party stories.
Yeah, and then they're getting the tools to be able to be critical thinkers outside of school and whatever life throws at you.
Right. Yeah, I think that's actually what you'll forgive me that I keep going back to the presentations of learning. I just sat through a beautiful one this morning that is just like, I cry in a lot of them, honestly. But I think one of the most powerful things is that students are reflecting on specific artifacts of learning. So like a piece of writing they did, or a project that they did, some sort of community involvement that they had. And they talk about the work itself. So like, the math skills, or the writing skills, or the speaking skills. but they also connect that to something deeper, and that it's the competencies. And so we use the XQ competencies. There are lots of different versions of competencies out there, but we use the XQ competencies. And when you look at them and you listen to students talk about understanding what it means to be able to synthesize information or to communicate ideas, or like you realize, like, I may or may not need to know this particular equation, when I'm 49 years old, but I'm definitely going to have to know how to synthesize information. And I'm definitely going to need to be a persuasive communicator. And so I think that's the powerful thing, is that kids are connecting these skills that go beyond the standards, these competencies that they're getting the chance to practice and master in their project work in their classes, to what they want to do in their lives. And that's what we want. We want people who have, we want students to graduate and be able to lead fulfilling, interesting at dinner party lives.
That's great. Yeah, when you're saying about, there's one student who was saying that the English teacher had said, this is some of the best writing that I've ever had. And by the way, I wept during this film. A little tear.
That was a presentation of learning. Yeah,
yeah.
that was
That's
our
what I
first year
thought.
doing those.
You were
Yes.
describing, yes.
Yes.
And he's just saying how much that meant to him for
Yeah.
somebody to say, hey, this is good,
Mhm.
and he specifically was talking about his writing project
Yeah.
that he did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was sitting through one for a senior a couple of weeks ago, as our seniors do them a little bit earlier because they head out a little bit earlier. And she was talking about how when she started school, she did not think of herself as smart. And this is a young woman who has been an incredible leader in our school, particularly, like, she was the founder and leader of our volunteer club, and thousands of hours of student service this past year because of the leadership that she showed in this club. And that she was talking about how she was planning to go do that in the same similar thing in college. And she said, like, I didn't think of myself as smart before, but now, like, I think of myself as a capable person who can do things. And I just had to figure out what was my thing to do. And it's just moments like that are so powerful, and that kids, I really do think, like, having that moment and space to reflect, take with them, and it changes them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so inspirational. I'm hoping, I did look at the XQ website this morning to see there seems to be a lot of programs out there. So of maybe having the 4 pillars like you all do in education.
Yeah, and they're not all, I mean, like, nobody has our same 4 pillars. The nice thing about our partnership with XQ is that XQ is not a, it's not a, like, you have to do these set things to be an XQ school. They have design principles that definitely show up in our school, things like a strong mission and vision, and student voice and choice, and meaningful learning, and healthy relationships, and like some things that definitely show up in our model. And that I think if you look at innovative schools that are making an impact on kids' lives, can show up in very different ways. But if you're looking for these things, for these design principles, I think if you find them in a school, you're going to have a place you're going to find a place that is making a difference in kids' lives. And and then other tools like the competencies, the XQ competencies, which again give students language to really describe how they are changing and growing, that can be used in a job interview later. If you're a 22-year-old who can talk about how you developed these very, like, kind of specific skills, like, that's something that most people don't have. And like, there's a lot of adults who can't articulate that about themselves. But yeah, so I think that the XQ schools are not all the same, but there's some commonalities that are really providing the backbone and the structure for a powerful educational experience for young people.
Yeah, I think that what I thought about most was the exhibition that the kids had to do. I can't tell you. I don't even know the pressure that must have gone into that. But at the same time, they used all of those courses and all of that thinking that you're talking about in order to, be specific, is what one person said. Yes, a mindfulness is a concept, but you're doing your rap. What does that actually mean? What does the mindfulness? Be specific about what that is. And I think that transferred in a huge variety of what the students presented during the exhibition was remarkable.
Yeah, exhibitions are really powerful, and that's something that you can do in any kind of school. I think for any of us, there is one level of work that we're going to do if we think we're just turning it in and is only for a teacher's eyes to grade and hand back to you, and then it's going to go in the trash, right? Like,
yeah.
For some kids, there's a motivation in that grade. For a lot of kids, there's not. But when you think about, creating a song that might have an impact on a friend's mental health, like that, there's a difference there. Or when you think about, telling the story of an immigrant to our community, and like taking the time to really understand what they went through and what they, how they experienced that process of immigration, like you feel a responsibility to your audience to do good work. And at being in a project-based learning school, we would love that every learning experience had that same, authenticity. And of course that doesn't always happen. Like there are things that we do because we need to practice a skill so that we can do it in an authentic setting later. So it's not, work at Crosstown is not all, fully those kinds of experiences all the time. Like there is some, there's definitely things about more traditional school that still work and that we still do. But ultimately we want to make sure that our students are having the opportunity to use the skills, the knowledge, the skills, the dispositions that they are learning in service to their community.
That's so great. Yeah, I know in the laboratory or the science class, they're collaborating, but at the same time, they're doing, like you said, those skills, the skills that you need to learn. Hey, this is science. And then what's remarkable though, is then they apply it in so many other ways to all the other. One of the things is the mathematics. The first thing he started talking about was ethics. And is that the first time? Usually that's not the first thing you hear when you go into a math class, and so that's what makes this so unique and distinct, I think. And I'm so happy that people can see it at the Roxy as well. And I know that the social studies teacher, right, Ryan, is going to be.
Yes, Ryan Pryor. Oh man, we're going to have fun with Ryan.
I know, a lot to talk about. And then also, well, obviously with what we're doing here today, and that it's available, I believe it's available for others to view, even if it's not during this festival.
Yes, it is available online now. I should probably know this. I think the website is thefirstclass.org. And there's actually a couple of versions of it. So there's a shorter version if you're wanting to share it with an audience that doesn't have time for the full thing. But yeah, we're again, it felt a little crazy to allow a documentary film crew into our school as we were opening. And still I look back on that sometimes and like, what were we thinking? But ultimately, I think Lee, the director, did a fantastic job of telling our story in a way that feels true to us, and I hope feels like something that other people see and think, like this can be done other places. It doesn't have to be done in a big, crazy building like the concourse, but there are things that anybody can take from this to provide more authentic learning experiences for young people.
Well, I would really love it to be out there for everyone, and that all schools could do something like this, because it really puts your mind first, and your creativity and getting to know yourself when you're that student. And this is a lottery that they get in. So it is a diverse amount of students and working together. I mean, I think that's what we need right now, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Ginger, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about the first class.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. I hope everybody enjoys the film.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.